start today's call now by recording it, so should in case anyone miss it, or they can definitely get the recording. Yeah, I think the first thing that I want to start with would be possibly looking at the bit of fundamentals. Also, the month is coming to an end, and it's so essential to analyze the monthly chart. So this says the factors supporting gold to remain in place, further upside for the price. Hi Wilson. Okay. Basically, start the week with a bit of fundamentals. We can see the article on gold talking about the real yields and talking about the central bank balance sheets and talking about the US-China tension, and then how that will literally affect interest rate. And this is the new month. We can see the Forex Live wrap here, which is going to show us which currency is strengthening and which currency is weakening into the new month. So US July personal spending 1.9%, that is strength versus expected at 1.6. So if we grab a notepad, hi Martin. Thanks for joining in. Sorry about the slight little delay that I have this morning, but yeah. So for all you that are joining in, thank you for joining in. So we can understand. Hi Grace, thanks for joining in. Gold fundamentally is looking positive. The main essence of trading is to be able to find something that's got strength somewhere and then obviously pair it with something that's weakening. That will generate a significant move, right? So if you have a foremention or a forethought or a foreknowledge of what is actually strengthening compared to what is weakening, that fundamentally will give your trade some good boosts. Then you now look into the technical factors that may likely to affect the price where it is on the chart. So knowing that the US dollar strengthened into the end of the week, the Canadian Q2 GDP minus 30.7%, that cut to strengthen into the end of the week. US July advanced goods service minus 79.3 billion versus minus 72 expected. That is trade balance. It wouldn't really have much effect on Forex, but it's good to know. Dallas Fed July trim PCE price index positive. White House raised stimulus offer to 1.3 trillion. That is positive for stock. It's not essentially good for dollar, but yeah, it's positive for stocks because when investors are getting cheap money, when banks are getting cheap money, where else are they going to invest it into? Because US oil rig for the oil market, MGM results to cut job 18,000. That is not good for the US economy. 18,000 people are going to lose their job. University of Michigan, August final consumer sentiment is on a 4.1. So everything is looking a little bit improved for the dollar. On the fundamental side, Fed's ACA, we will get back to pre-crisis unemployment for quite a while. We all know that. So gold is up, WTI flats, US 10-year yields. 3 basis points down, S&P up 23 points. As usual, New Zealand leads and dollar lags, all right? So it's conclusive that New Zealand leads the market into the new week positively, fundamentally, but that does not mean that, yeah, we should now go ahead and buy the New Zealand dollar because we still need to check things on the chart. This resignation of Abe in Japan resonated throughout the world and led to a round of yen strength as political uncertainty returns. Dollar yen dropped 25 pips. So dollar yen, the AB resignation. The big part of that was general US dollar selling in the fallout from the FOMC. The dollar is getting it on risk positive trades as well as worry about dovish Fed. It completed its breakout on most fronts on Friday. So dollar is suffering. Cable was particularly strong as it broke above the August high. Some fixing flows added to pound demand ahead of long UK weekend. The euro wasn't an enthusiastic, made some headway towards the top. The Canadian dollar initially tried to break out alongside the Australian New Zealand dollar, but couldn't quite complete the move. An initial drop to 130.50 was bid up steadily all the way. The aforementioned Aussie and New Zealand both finished at the day's high, which are post-pandemic. All right. So, what is our deduction from here? We can deduce that New Zealand is potentially strong into the new week. We can deduce that Aussie is strong. We can deduce that USD is potentially negative. We can say double plus in a way. This is almost double plus as well. The GBP plus hard plus yen 5 basis point plus. So the particular currency that's most likely suffering will be the dollar. Potentially maybe the Swiss is slightly weak. All right. So we have a bit of a snapshot of what the market is saying. So I will then want to look at most peers against the New Zealand. Nice having you here as well. Okay. So if I go to my charts, let's say I want a clean charts in a way. All right, so if I go to my charts, and some of this, talk about Forex today, we talk about gold, Or actually, what I wanted to do is look at things in the direction of strength and weakness. And then we're looking at things that way. When we are considering strength and weakness, we should be looking at what the VIX is saying. We should be looking at what the risky currency are saying, which are obviously I've made a video on risk on and risk of sentiment but today we're going to be looking at, let's start with the pound New Zealand. I have a bit of interest on the pound New Zealand. And I'm just going to put the profile on. I'll look at it from a monthly perspective kind of view. All right. So I was actually buying the pound New Zealand in anticipation for the price to go up. Actually and then I tend to take some profit. But me and
the Bluetooth device is ready to pair.
Sorry. Then looking at the pound against the New Zealand on the monthly charts, is kind of giving a bit of discount, number one, to be able to buy cheap closer to last month monthly point of control. And so this is quite big data, and where we are, we can still see that although we suffer a significant fall, the point of control is a dynamic tool. The point of control was somewhere around there before, and as we continue to rise, the point of control shifted upward, and then we encounter a big, huge selling influence. But where we are, it's all about timing now. What is the best time to see whether this trade we can still take it positive? I mean, as a buy, especially when the New Zealand is getting stronger, we should be able to expect this sell-off. But is the New Zealand going to get stronger for the entire period? So it's something that we need to look into as well. But yeah, if anything has really changed on the pound against New Zealand, for me personally, maybe not so much. Maybe we're just seeing a bit of how do I call this? A bit of retracement of this entire up move, and then we may then see continuation. But yeah, I'll look much more in depth into the structure of the charts. I'm just using this to get a general outlook into which direction should I actually be going, which means I wanted to stay a buyer above certain area. And in as much as that area is still holding, I'll be looking for opportunity to buy the New Zealand against to buy the pound against the New Zealand. 94.20 will be more ideal. Would we be able to get that? Maybe no. And 96.70 will be an ideal price that I'll be looking at this pair, should in case we touch it. On the weekly level, however, what I can see is we have a bit of significant strength with the way this structure is looking. This entire value area is well above this one. So this is where we really want to play. So should in case the price drops down to this area, I'm expecting some buyers to come in at 96.70 area. If that would be a very good area to see buyers, because once you are looking at the low of the profile, that can act as a support. But one key thing to note as well is when you're looking at this eye and then you are looking at this eye, it's telling a story in particular, and then we're looking at this eye. So what I can see is I can see a first eye, a lower eye, and then I can see a third lower high. So the pressure is kind of to the downside. So what I'm looking for over here is the potential reason for this guy to give us a higher low somewhere, right? And the one thing that you need to understand when it comes to trading is you need to learn patience, and you need to have some tools that will give you that reason to be patient. If you don't have those tools, then you will just be jumping into any price. Where the price is right now, it's a bit risky to say that I'm going to be a buyer, right? One of the reasons why it's a bit risky is when you look at the sell-off that we have on monthly, it's huge, right? But when you look at the overall direction, you can see that, okay, we have a low here. I kind of like a pattern like this, when we have a low here, and then we have a lower low, and then we have a rising low. It's a good pattern for continuation to the upside on the longer term perspective, right? But then when you now see the weekly charts telling you that, okay, we've rise a little bit, and then we encounter a doji, and then we seeing this sell-off. This is telling you that the buys are not yet ready, right? Which means you just have to be patient. I want to be a buyer, but I need to be patient, right? If I'm still going to be following this chart, I need to be patient, because what the weekly is telling me is just be patient. It's not yet time. Then the daily will expose more of the situation. So looking at this daily chart, however, we can see something unique in the way that we are rising, then we encounter this sell-off, then we rise like that, then we try to rise over here now. However, what did we see? We encounter a lower high, all right? So having encountered a lower high, that is telling me that the up auction is slowing down completely now. It's a reason for me to be careful if I do not see a daily reaction in terms of potential doji that signals that aggressive buyers comes back into this market. Being a buyer of the pound New Zealand is something that I should calm down on. So what areas am I going to be looking down for? When you look at this area, right? And then you look at this area on the daily chart, you can see over here we have a bit of resistance. Over here we break above that resistance, and then it turns into support. And then we find an area of 196.70 that is lining up with this area, okay? So 196.70 is becoming a very huge role reversal level. So that doesn't mean that I should just go and put a buy limit in this area. What I will intend to do is actually see how price is going to reject this area. Once I see price coming up above a key level, which I've noted on the market profile, and that key level is now matching up to some ideal level on the chart itself based on price structure, and it's a role reversal level, then I'll start to build some key reason to look at that trade in that same level. So, and that level would be a huge level going up. If I stick potential, say like just a measuring to Fibonacci retracement on the daily, right, and you can see that there's 50% retracement area around there as well. So 196 area is becoming a very huge level for me to hit. Okay, so what I would then do now is that I've known the area where I want to potentially buy the pound against the New Zealand. I will then go to my 4-hour chart, potentially on trading view. So let's see. What I wanted to do is I want to time this in structurally on trading view on the 4-hour chart. And if you can secure your entry like this, number one, you've done the analysis. Number two, you're building the patient. Number three, you're not looking at what the structure is saying in terms of the direction which you want to go. It's not a good idea for any trader not to know whether they want to be a buyer of a particular instrument or they want to be a seller of a particular instrument. If you do not know which direction you want to go, then obviously you still need to learn more. Okay, so here looking at the chart, the stochastic is pointing that there's still more sell coming in, which is another indication to be patient on this daily chart. But what I'm interested in is the 4-hour chart. Okay, on my 4-hour chart, I want to just look at the structure. And on this structure, I'm going to be squeezing the chart this manner. And thank you all for joining in. I'm going to be squeezing the chart in this manner. And obviously, I want to look at what this 4-hour structure is telling me. Look at the market snapshots as a whole. Right. So haven't seen this low, we've seen another higher low, and then we've seen this high. My potential problem is seeing this high and seeing this lower high, right? Which is the second high that we've seen, which is lower, and seeing this at the same time as well, much more lower high, is telling me that, okay, if the trend is going to be going down, most probably this is a third lower high. But if this trend, according to the profile, is going to resume back up, then I need to know the key levels where that will potentially happen. So what I can see on my structure over here is the first thing that I need to do is look at the trend. So when I start to look at this trend, I can see that, okay, that 4-hour structure in one way or the other is being negated. It was negated from market profile point of control at that area of high. We kind of see a potential reversal pattern as well, which means this trend up gives us this potential reversal pattern, right shoulder, head shoulder, and right shoulder, head, and then left shoulder, and price is falling. So this trend up has been invalidated. The one key thing that is now available to us is to be looking for that buy in case this guy is going to break out somewhere. Where is he going to break out? We've talked about some levels. So looking at this key level over here will be a reason to say that, okay, most probably when price gets to this area, we can start to look for potential reasons to buy. We've got some support over here. We've got some previous area of resistance over there. So the key structure is we're going to be following this down, which means things can break this support. You have to bear that in mind. There's no doubt about that. Looking at it on a 1-hour time frame now, the one key thing that this channel is going to be telling me is the best area to take a sell trade will be around the edge of this channel, right? And then the best area to take a buy trade will be probably closer to the low of this channel. So I don't want to get myself involved in the price in the middle for now. Okay, I don't want to get myself involved with the price in the middle. So if this guy continues to roll itself down, this is an impulsive move, this is correction, and then we find this continuous roll down. If this guy continues to roll itself down to this level, then most probably that's the level where I want to act. And then I'm looking at a Fibonacci that I place against that level at a 50% level. So we have area of support. We have the 50% Fibonacci falling in place. Probably we'll be able to hit the down part of the trend line and see price rallying back up. Well, this is a potential opportunity over here. I'm going to take a picture of it for us to look at. The one key thing is we need to be patient when price gets there. Until we see potential possibility for some rejection, clear rejection, then there's no need to take any trade over here, because we are coming down to that support with a downtrend. So this area is becoming much more significant for us to see such reversal. Down to this level. It's becoming much more significant for us to see such reversal, and that's where I'm going to be looking at temporarily. Yeah, but for now, without that, and that doesn't mean that I will be an utmost buyer, because like I said, price can crack this, but potential area where price can stop will be that area. I'm seeing much more pressure to the downside in a way on this pound against New Zealand. More than anything else. But if price gets here, then I'll check my chart, see whether I can make an informed decision to buy by seeing whether I see a reason for that informed decision to be made. When we look at the previous reason, let me quickly check my areas of so the best price we'll see to see whether price can get to 196.25. There's a previous area of daily low or high over there. This 196.25 would be the best level. For now, this area might be holding up the price, but if we can't see any reason for trend reversal, which I haven't seen for now, and what I'll be looking at is I'm looking at this low, I'm looking at this high, I'm looking at whether we can form a higher low over here that will come and take out this high, all right, on this 30-minute chart. So until we see that, I will still be bargaining down here for now. I think we have some 38.6% retracement, 38.2% retracement around there, but yeah, pound New Zealand is not meant to be touched until it gets somewhere over there. What I want to look at now is New Zealand against the dollar. It might actually be giving us an opportunity to so looking at this, let me take a picture of this one of the pound New Zealand. Trade idea is to see price probably getting to here and then bouncing. Eventually, I want to see price breaking that area and potentially coming back down and potentially going back up. And why is that? So if I buy here, my direction would be to eventually see us breaking this. But the first area where I'm going to be taking profit is when we hit this area at the same time as well. So I'm not just going to anticipate that we're going to break out. The reason being is we've got a high, we've got a lower high, right? And price is coming down to this support. We can hit this and form the another lower high, right? So take a bit of the profits, right? So say for example, if I'm taking maybe if it's a little account and I'm taking 0.05 position, right? So what I want to do with that 0.5 position is if my price managed to hit this level, I know that I've got about 269 pips over there, right? So with that 269 pips, what I want to do is I'm going to divide it into a couple of pips, maybe divide it into three. I'll take maybe 0.01 lots. So this is about 270. So I want to be taking maybe 0.02 at 90 pips. I'm not going to make it exactly 90 pips, maybe 85 pips, right? I'll take another 0.02 at 180 pips. You have to be locking in the profit if you have a small account. You're not going to be anticipating a break, right? And then obviously the last 0.01 is what I want to leave to see whether we either going to find a rejection over here and price is going to come back down, or it's going to break this, right? So if I manage to leave that 0.01 to break this and eventually it breaks, by the time price is coming back down here again, then obviously I'll be looking to reload on my position. So interesting scenario coming up on pound New Zealand. Let me quickly check whether that same area is seeing anything on the 4-hour chart. So on my 4-hour chart, however, all right, I'll show you this one in a minute. Let me post this into the group. On my 4-hour chart, however, some interesting development is coming up at that area of 38.2. And what I tend to do with this is looking at the moving average, right? I can see we have a potential reasons to be buying this where we are currently. One of the reasons is this. Anytime price is coming down and is getting to the lower band area over here, it kind of offers some potential reasons for traders to be a buyer, all right? And then another reason is we have the 200 EMA over there, okay? And what the 200 EMA will do in this scenario is this. So we might be looking at a potential level, and this level might be the best area to buy, to start buying. The reason being is this. Once we've managed to come out of this volatility channel and then we rise up higher, and this is what patience does, right? And then we're coming back to the 200 EMA. Buyers will tend to come and defend the position now, because for them it's more or less like a break of the 200 EMA, right? And then it's a retest of it, okay? So buyers may take advantage to come back in from here. Even there's a 38.2% retracement over there, like I said earlier, and start to buy. But like I said, there is a potential reason to snap up a little position on the pound against the New Zealand. And if let me check quickly again. Wow. So for that to really happen, we need to see how we open next week. Okay, so the 1 minute close significantly. I mean, we have this significant impulsive move down, and then this is correction. We want to see what will happen inside there. This is going to be the huge determinant. Whatever happens inside there is what is going to determine what's going to happen. So for me, for now, right, skills is for me to look for price to come down to this level, okay? And looking for price to come down to this level, means I'm looking for the cheapest price, okay? Which means probably I'll be setting my alert around this level, looking for the cheapest price, and then see what kind of reaction I'm going to get in that cheapest price area. Next week, we're going to open below the potentially. If we open where we are now, the way that we close, right? Everything is telling me that we will potentially come and test this low, right? Come and test the low of the day first of all, before we can see whether there are more buyers in this market to push the price up. So I'm not going to jump in and buy anything. I'm going to be looking for a reason to come and test this low. And why? Just because we close below this profile low, right? It shows me that the sellers, they closed with a significant strength. If we manage to close inside there now, right, then it's a different situation. But for now, I'll first of all look for a reason to come and test this low. Even the market can open and go up a little bit higher, I'll still look for a reason for us to come and test this low. Just keep that in mind as we go. For us to come and test this low, when we test this low, then we'll be able to completely deduce and say to ourselves that, okay, whether there are more sellers in this market or there are no more cheap prices going down, we'll be able to know from there. And the kind of aggressiveness that we see coming into this is what is going to determine whether I'm going to be a buyer or not. So what I like is when I look at my chart and I see that we break out, the orders are showing me where the lineup are to the upside. I won't disregard the facts that we have an impulsive correction and continuation, right? It's just that in this area, we can see it bounce as well. So I won't disregard this fact at all. And when you look at this pattern as well, sorry, I'm spending a little bit of time more than, but something interesting is actually happening on this. When you look at this pattern as well, I'm just looking for every reason not to be wrong on this. Is you can be seeing a potential A to B, and if we have 1.618 somewhere, it can be making sense for us to be a buyer. So when you look at this, technically, where we are, this A to B, B to C, this 0 to A to B to C pattern, right, which is this particular pattern, ABC pattern. Right there at 1.618 has reached a level whereby, just because just the way that I said that I want to see price come and test this area first of all, right? In this area, we have a huge opportunity to buy. In fact, note the fact that the 1.618 is there. If that A to B's ABC pattern is going to complete, right, at 1.618, 1.9770 area, right, we might be looking for further buyers coming into the market to push the price up. If they failed, then we look for it. So bear that in mind, this pattern of ABC pattern ending at 1.618 is lining up over there as well, and usually offers a low risk trade. So test of that level can be a significant reason for the pound against New Zealand to rise. So New Zealand against the dollar now. So me looking at this chart on the monthly, it is quite positive. The strength is there on the New Zealand, okay? When you can see strength, it's not usually a good thing to go against strength, okay? You might be looking for areas where the strength may crack, right? But you have to see a good reason for you to short this, which potentially maybe it's coming in this region, but you are not going to be a firm supporter of shorting this for now. We have some area of role reversal sitting somewhere around there, some area of potential resistance and everything coming up, right? So we might be looking at that at the same time as well in all this area. So, but what I'm saying in essence is the way that we are going. When you look at the way that we start from this low, we make this high, we kind of make this low again, we make this high, we kind of make another higher low again, we make this high, we kind of make another low, higher low again. One key thing that we can see is the trend is progressive, okay? This trend has not even bent at all, okay? Which means the moment we get here, the fact that we are at a resistance and then we are at a role reversal area, yeah, it's there, but you gotta have to think of how the chart approaches there, okay? Which means until you see a clear evidence of a sell coming in, you don't want to jump in. It is possible. The reason why it's possible is we have this previous area of resistance, we have this area of role reversal, we have the 200 EMA, but we haven't seen the price action. All right, so what we are looking for is a potential doji that will tell us that this trend is slowing down before we actually make a move. But the way that we approach this is telling us that just be patient. Even if you want to take the shot, just be patient. Right. So going forward, New Zealand against dollar, it's a key pair that will potentially generate a good return. Needs a bit of patience. It might not happen even next week, and it might happen next week, but that's what we are seeing. There is an opportunity coming up, but that opportunity cannot be taken if we do not see the price action to buy it. So the reversal opportunity in this requires that price action to say that it's faulting. And as you can see, I haven't read that article earlier. We note that the New Zealand is very strong. It's quite good that it's getting strong now, getting strong into this area. All we're looking for is a potential break of it. So I'll quickly look at this on my 4-hour chart again. See the potential structure that is forming. So that might be a good one. So the structure is telling me I can wait for this guy, sell the highest price somewhere around 68.29. Okay, that's what I can see over here, which means now I know the area to wait for this guy, 68.29. Somewhere at the high of this will be the ideal price to be looking to sell the highest price. And who doesn't want to sell the highest price anyway? But according to this structure, if the price comes down here and we start to see the price faulting, just like the way that it does when it comes over here, we can see how we see how we are rejecting this area, rejecting this area. So the way that we are approaching this, we are approaching it in this channel. This channel has been a source of rejection. And even if we get this and price start to roll back down, the structure as in the structure is still intact. The main short, which is the biggest short, will be when we break down inside there. So this is not too hard at all. All I need to do is wait for my price to hit this high level. That's the highest price I can be looking at. And then let me see if anything tallies up with it. In the long term, nothing. But yeah, this high level over here is a key level to look for the New Zealand against the US dollar. Once price touch that important structural level, what we want to see is rejection. Without rejection, this guy is still going to continue to fly. So that's the only thing that we need to watch out for on this. The highest price will be, that will be the highest price this year. And then who doesn't want to sell the highest price? You sell high, then we buy low. So once you take advantage of selling this high level, right, especially it's on the 4-hour structure, the first touch right here, there's a big indication that everyone is queuing over there. And then the third level, which will be the third, somewhere around there. Price, the moment price hits this level, if you are in the market, there is every potential reasons that it will first of all drop almost about 20 pips first of all. Potential reasons for that. There's psychological level over there, 6,800. Around that level, price might be targeting that 6,800. Hit it, boom. Potential reason is that this is a very low risk trade, and the opportunity is right there. It's definitely there, so don't miss this one. The big shot won't come in until if you join in here with any little position. The trend is not going to change until we break this. So we might come back here and then resume back up the uptrend, right? If this level cracks for any reason at all, then it is the almighty short. It is capitulation. The price is going to fall significantly, and that might be what everybody is waiting for. But we need to find this high price. Price need to break this level. Until we break this structural low level, then this significant sell will come into play. Right. So Emma, if you have any question, you can ask. Let me take a picture of this and so sorry about that scribbly. It was accidental. It's all right, Damien. Yeah. So that's a potential opportunity. The New Zealand is offering a very good potential opportunity right there, and you know, have to take advantage of it. So, and this is one key thing that I want you to have at the back of your trading. First of all, I want to say thank you to Wilson 690, Austin, B, Coral, Connect, Bollywood, Bolanle, Damian, Emma, Grace, Rosie, and Titilayo, and Yusuf Mohammed. I want to say thank you for being part of this. Yeah, we're going to look at that as well. one thing I want you to understand is this: if the fundamentals is telling us that something is strong, okay, your job as a trader is not just to say that because it's strong, just the way that we've seen in the article on the Forex News Live, doesn't mean that the one thing that I want to do is I'll just jump in and be a buyer, right? You're now going to do your own job, all right? And what is your job? Your job is to look at that strength and see whether that strength is getting to an area where it's likely going to falter. And that is what we've done over here. 1 second. We might see another key value that will tell us either some monthly pivots. Let's see this. 67.94. Third resistance. 67.94. So you can note down 67.94. Let me see. It's around 6,800, near to that high level at the same time as well. Let's see. So on the 4-hour chart, this guy come to seek over sold area and is going forward to hit the monthly resistance. 67.54.
Oh yeah, stop talking. I'm listening to something.
7.94. Yeah. Closer to couple of things is over there. We have the weekly resistance area over there. It's just a huge level. It doesn't change the trend, but obviously there's an opportunity over there. And the kind of opportunity that we can see over here is, let's say from here, it's about 249 pips opportunity. Because basically what can then happen is price can hit this, come back to this lower band, price can hit this, come back to this lower band. And at this lower band, again, is the best area for us to buy. All right, so let's sell area. So if the injection candle goes, because we know for a fact that the trend is that New Zealand is strong, we can be anticipating a potential reason to come and buy here again. All right. And one thing I wanted to break down again is this. Let's say where to buy. Right. Okay. So one thing I need you to pay attention to is this. Just because I pick this area, right, doesn't mean that price should exactly stop there. One thing I need you to pay attention to is this. When you look at this, you can see we are approaching it with strength. This is impulsive move correction, continuation, right? So after this continuation, what will tend to happen, first of all, is we might now see the correction, okay? And that correction will now tend to potentially go above this mass psychology area. Because one thing I need you to pay attention to is you gotta have to understand that just because I can analyze the chart doesn't mean that any other person cannot analyze it. You can analyze the chart as well, all right? But if you've seen a potential impulsive move to a level, right, the next calculation will be, would I see correction at the same time as well? And that correction will now lead to just flow with the price. will now lead to continuation. And it's after that continuation that maybe if price now starts to break down, there's no more buyers because everybody has already bought, is when we're now going to see these results, because this area is area of mass psychology. So let's have a look at it over here. So we have a potential reason to say maybe this is a impulsive move, right? And then the entire correction, and then we have a continuation, right? And this continuation did not just give us the sell-off. We have correction. Just because we approach this area with impulsive move, then you can think of potential correction and then the continuation. So by the time those continuation hit this level 2-3 times now, they become so weakened and price tend to fall. So pay attention to that process in this area as well. We are approaching the area with impulsive move, with strength, correction, another impulsive move, which means we can continue to be approaching this area with more impulsive. Let's get down here with a bit of correction. We can even break it, okay? And then before the sell occurs. So if you take the first sell, and it didn't happen, just know that you have a low risk over there, low risk opportunity. You might just take 0.01, don't rush it, right? And then see whether the correction we now tend to go and break it above. And the moment if this breaks above, right? And we start to see the falter above here and price start to come back down here, you know that this is the highest price. Bear that in mind. And then that can literally start to lead to that sell-off. So those are the kind of scenarios that can happen. So sometimes this is what tends to happen. People who follow signals and do not actually follow what the price action says is when they take this trade, it becomes frustration, right? If the results do not start to materialize the way they're supposed to materialize, sometimes you take it and then the results will just materialize like this. Sometimes you take it just because of the speed of approach, which is impulsive, then you get that correction, which will go ahead and break it, and then the massive sell-off will then tend to occur. And that is a key point to note on this chart. So we, okay, so if you want, I can quickly send this to the chat room for us to just have it as a reference as the market progress. Someone talks about Euro New Zealand. I haven't seen any big opportunity. But let's check the Euro New Zealand. Also, the one key thing that I want us to do again today is if there's any chart or any trade that you took last week that goes into a lesson, don't hesitate to send that chart. That is the chart that you can learn your biggest lesson on, and I'll tell you why. All right. So looking at this from the monthly point of view, this is the Euro New Zealand. The one key thing that we are seeing is the monthly is about to close negative. That's a big signal if it closes negative. And the challenge here, however, is if we close negative on the month, when you look at this kind of candle formation, when the month close negative like that, we usually have a follow through. If we close negative, follow through. Negative rejection, follow through. But one thing I want you to pay attention to is this. Look at where the trend is. The trend is actually going down. The moving average is telling us we hit that negative rejection, follow through, right? The trend over here, some kind of negative rejection, follow through. now that the trend is telling us that it's going on, okay? Although negative rejection, we are still below the 200 EMA. The challenge on this one is we've actually traded above the 200 EMA such that we are now above the 200 EMA over here. And that is the key thing that you need to pay attention to. This can be looking, this can be looking a bit negative, but the challenge is we are above the 200 EMA, so we have to bear that in mind. But where it kind of where it's making the significant difference, however, is the 7740. That is the challenge. At 7740, if we trade below it, what that is insinuating is the initiative sellers are taking advantage of price, and the initiative sellers are stronger. They are kind of powerful, and they can literally push price down. But where they are coming is they are coming into the hands of more longer term point of control down over here where we can find rejection. So overall, when I've seen the course and price is kind of trading above it, I want to be very cautious. I will still be looking for potential reasons to buy this, but I'll be cautious in a way. So let's look at the weekly. Trading. So the weekly is telling us this is a weekly point of control. We've traded below it as well. So initiative sellers, which are strong price, can definitely decline, come all the way down, even potentially come down here as well. So the Euro New Zealand is a pair that one needs to be careful of. Looking at it towards this low. Why? We call this high. This seems like a lower high, right? And this seems like every reason for another lower high, a potential what? A potential double top, right? So there's nothing friendly about this pair more than for us to be careful about it. And I don't want to be a buyer until price comes down to area like this on the Euro New Zealand. Everything that is telling me that we have strong initiative sellers are the ones in control. So you don't want to go against that. And you're seeing, according to the structure, this high and this two lower highs is telling us that the pressure is to the downside. So be careful on the euro against the New Zealand. We actually closed the week very negative as well. Down there, it's an area of role reversal where we can see potential rejection. Well, overall, I haven't seen that edge that I want in this. So this is just a pair where when I see the force clearly like this, I'm not going to be looking at the support that the support can break. I'll be thinking, everything is telling me that this support can break. So chasing this support over here, it can even be a thing where that price hits it, we have a bit of rejection, and then we come to sell back down off. You have to follow what the structure is telling us. Let's look at daily. So with daily chart, we've seen the rejection at this high is like, look at this multiple resistance area. Now we've seen that rejection. Price is coming back into this particular zone. So euro against New Zealand is a pair to be careful of. Structurally, we need to look at what the 4 is telling us. So, and this is what I'm saying about restructure. Once you have a structure like this and it's broken, off we go. There's no, and the target will be this low, right? So this is the reason why we do multi-analysis to actually be able to see things clearly. So when you look at this, once the structure of the uptrend has been broken, then the tap has opened. And when the tap opens, don't be thinking of any other thing more than so. The next possible area is this area, where we have all this congestion, right? Is the next possible area. So for me personally, this guy has taken off, and it's not a play for you to say that you want to just jump in now. It has already taken off, so let it go. Let's see how far it's gonna go, and how far it's gonna go is for you to be to. This is one pair that you want to leave alone, and you know the reason why you want to leave it alone. If you don't leave it alone, if you want to enter the sell back, then most probably the only way you can do that is for you to be saying to yourself, okay, this impulsive move has started. Am I going to see a correction? And your correction will be a trade back to this trend line. You want to be seller. What you are looking for is a potential reason for price to come and hit this area and then sell back down. But yeah, as you can see, it is gone already. Recheck price approaching a 2 to 3-year-old resistance, currently at an important zone as well. Haven't made single points visible even on the weekly. Any thoughts on entry from around the single point on the weekly? The single point also is near recently broken. String. All right. So one thing we have to keep in mind on the euro is the fundamentals against the dollar, not against the New Zealand dollar, which we should. All right. So before then, let's quickly look at this, the XY, and then we now check the euro. So the one key thing you have to understand about the euro is we are here. Why are we stuck in this region? There's no need to sell this guy, none at all. You know the reason why. Until we break this down, right, there is no need to sell the euro, technically, all right? But this is the driver. Here. So when you look at the case of a triple or a double top, in this case, double top, right? One thing you have to be bearing in mind is minimum price objective of a double top, which is down there, okay? And in as much as the dollar is following this significant move down, all we are aiming for is this neckline, right? And we have not even get there. Although, yeah, we might be looking at are we having some support. One key thing that drive strength is this. If you've gone to one area the first time, that is the high, right? You will categorically be able to say to yourself that when you get there the second time, okay, you did not even take out the high, right? You come closer to it. Is there strength in this or weakness, right? So you can actually see that just because we do not even touch the high or take it out, this move down is a considerable weak move, okay? And this considerable weak move, we have every reason to shatter every resistance or support along the line. All right, and that's what it's doing. And when you look at the structure as well, the structure has been broken. This channel structure has been broken. Let me show you one. Right? And that's what drives a very good, mature short trade. Some trades that we do take shots some of the time, the structure is not broken. So this structure is hiding itself under the channel lower band. Suddenly we go to the channel upper band and then we start to see the sell-off. We broke the channel, right? Even if we have to say that this aberration that we see over here, so we've broken this channel. Once a channel is broken, do not anticipate a reversal, okay? It's a structure. It's like, how do I put it? You have a false structure of maybe the Barclays Bank, and then somebody go underneath it, right? Under the foundation of it and start digging the foundation. Nothing is going to hold everything that is on top anymore. Once the foundation has been uprooted, down we go. And this down, the potential area that we are looking at will be this next structure and low. So that's one thing that you have to keep at the back of your mind. So in as much as the dollar is falling, even if the euro weakens, it will be using this as support. Okay. So and then one key thing again is when we look at the yield.
Hello, sorry to interrupt. I was actually looking when I said that talked about that entry. I'm referring to a bullish entry, on Euro USD. That does it make sense to look for a bullish entry around the recently broken resistance? So if you look on the weekly time frame, Euro USD has recently broken with a very bullish, strong momentum. It's recently broken resistance. So I'm expecting like a retest of that recently broken resistance for a bullish entry, which matches what you're just saying now, that if we expect that dollar is still going to go down, then Euro USD, we might be able to find a bullish trade.
Right. So so the basic discussion around the euro, I was even having a chat about it last week with one of my colleagues, and the basic discussion around it is we are looking at the fundamentals that revolves around the two, and the main issue is the yield, right? If we look at the 10-year yield,
yeah,
treasury note, in as much as the 10-year yield or the yields continue to go down, suddenly I can't find it anymore. So, 10. 10-year. So we were doing comparison of the yield chart and then the dollar.
Yeah.
And what we can see is the yield is on a significant impulsive move down, which means this might be a correction. Let's look at it on. And it's in an area which is uncharted. Well, at least when we were looking at it couple of weeks back, we haven't come back up a little bit like this. But when you note the way that this trend is going down, then a little bit of correction and continuation, everybody is thinking that this is another possible correction. If that is another possible correction, if we can't...
This is what I do. Can you leave the room? That's what I have to do.
If we can't find a reason to continuously go up higher for any reason at all, which obviously when we look at the fundamentals this week, the US-China situation, tension is still there. The central bank's balance sheet is not improving, and that is giving a reason for much more lower rates in the dollar. So as a matter of fact, hold on 1 second. I haven't even checked it on the, let's look at this. So if I'm looking at...
so if you look at the weekly on the market profile, you see that it created a single print at the time that it broke an old POC. And that's also like an old resistance. Yeah, that.
Right.
So that's what I'm thinking.
Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, please.
Okay.
Right, sorry, I can't even find it. Yeah, go on.
Okay, so this is my thought process. So you see that 633 EMA. So price has gone to that 633 EMA, and to get there, it was a very bullish action. Yeah, very bullish momentum, and that bullish momentum broke a weekly POC with that set of single prints. You can see that, yeah. So my thinking, my logic is that does it make sense to come and wait for price? That near the, that blue EMA, can you see it? That if you come down a little bit to that single print area, if you come down a little bit to that single print area, so can we come and wait for price there, waiting for a retracement to that single print area and then buy from there? Not from, yeah, exactly, yeah, from that. No, not from there.
Okay, so
from around 1.1561, something like that. From around 1.1622, yes, from around 1.1622. Let's come and wait for price there to buy.
Okay. So technically, I try to understand what you were saying, Buki. But what I can see this last week, right? This last week closed negatively, and the whole of this week, yeah, we tried to push up bullishly, but in a way we couldn't close above this last week, which means this rejection is still in play in a way. But the only thing that we saw on this week is we saw a slow week more than anything else. Nothing really happened. It's an inside week at the same time as well. The one good thing that the euro will want to see is a potential reason for price to shoot up higher, but we need to be careful. More than often, when we are inside a volatility channel like this, right, price have every single reason to swing up and down. And I saw this on the DXY. When you look at this as well,
yeah,
I'm not saying trend will suddenly change, but sell-off may come in the whole of the week. We've had a doji week previously, right? And the whole of the week, we couldn't take out the low of the DXY, all right? That will be signaling a very important message going into next week, right? Because what are we doing the whole of the week? We couldn't take out the low of this particular month. We can start to see next week trade coming in positive territory. Price may eventually start to rise back up, going into next week. And when we look at this one, let's see. So technically for me, the euro is still very strong. That was the sell-off, and that was the sell-off of that particular week that we're talking about. This is more or less like approaching some previous resistance area as well. Maybe we may see a reason for price to start rolling back down as well. It's a potential possibility, but let's measure this. So this fell off, come back up here, 78.6, area of resistance. And in that area of resistance, we've seen some rejection. That rejection, couple of, so there is technical reasons that the euro may start to
come down. Yeah.
Say that again.
I said it may come down.
Over the next week, where we are on this weekly, the gap between the 633 and the 200 can offer a good reason for euro to even say, okay, let's find a bit of retracement.
Exactly, and then buy from, and then we can buy from there, maybe to the most recent high.
Exactly. So let me quickly look at the daily profile. All right, so this daily profile is giving us a P pattern. And although it's a longer, let's see. This is from June. We are in August going to September. P pattern is a pattern of short
covering.
Sorry, long liquidation.
Long liquidation.
So I'll be looking at all these longs that has been taking place for a very long time, and then there might be a reason to just start to liquidate the longs. We've been struggling in this particular region, consolidating for some time. So the way the trade is likely going to go coming to the new week is clear. Price is going to want to go up to test this high area.
The high.
So the test of this high area now is where that is the maximum place where we're going to be looking for rejection. That will be at that 78.6% retracement as well. So until price tests this area of high, I mean, price can come and test the value area high as well. Because we open in balance, there's no direction going into the new week at all. There's no, so we want to test this area or test that area. And this is where we need to wait for price to see whether we're going to have a 30-minute rejection somewhere like this. If we have that, then this is the area to start selling. But we need to wait for that test first of all. So having tested that, we will be able to make an informed decision, and then the selling opportunity may now ensue in the euro against the dollar.
Okay.
So that is that for the euro. Test of the
that makes sense. Thanks.
Exactly. Test of this and see whether we're going to see potential rejection. If that happens, then that is the set opportunity coming into euro. All we need to do is keep watching this eye. This eye needs to be tested for us to know whether we have more buyers above it or whether we're going to see potential sellers coming into play. So,
okay, thanks.
That's it for the euro.
Thank you.
If we have any other charts that you want us to look at, or that you've been looking at, pound against the dollar. All right, so let's look at pound against the dollar. So for euro is the test of this high, which is the 1920 region, and it's a 20 region as well. We can find rejection in the 20 region. Pound against the dollar. Aussie CAD. So I'll look at pound against the dollar, then we go into Aussie CAD. So the monthly is literally pushing up. No problems, I'll do that. Looking at the pound against the dollar, all we can see is pure strength, pushing up higher. And the only area that's available that the chart needs to overcome before blowing is this area, which is where we are now. I'm not going to be anticipating any sell immediately, none at all, on pound against the dollar, and I'm not going to be buying it. The reason being is we are close to a key region, and we are above the point of control. So these buying activities that we are seeing is initiative buying activities. But just because we are nearing area of resistance as well, that's why I'm not going to be looking to say I want to just buy in this area, right? So for me, pound against the dollar is aiming to take this 150 something pips high. That's the direction in which it's going. But for me, I believe it has started its move, and engaging into it in this area. This is a weekly level, and you have to respect that. You know, while you are aiming to buy, price can quickly go up there and start to sell back off down. So the key thing is to look at it on structure. Let's see what daily is telling us. So after this, I think last week was when James or Peter was asking me a question that how do we approach this? And I said the best thing is to buy this low, and this is a trade that actually happened and push up higher. So right now, the pound is not a buy for me, neither is it a sell for me. In fact, I want to see that the price push up higher and give us a daily rejection for this resistance to potentially hold. So instead of chasing this, I'd rather leave it for now. It's good, it's a good buy, but we are approaching an area where something can quickly change around. So while you are not there, since if you've entered the buy from this level, then it would have been a good buy. But where it is now, it's a no-go area for me. So I'm not going to be buying anything in the count, or else if I want to encounter some loss. It's only about 150 pips, and that 150 pips, when you look at it, instead of chasing the 150 pips that can quickly occur, price reach here, even 200 and something pips and start to fall, you know, so the potential gain for the responsive sell can be that much, about 500 pips. So let's be careful on this one. Let's see whether we get a reason to sell, which might not be possible, because when we look at this, from this low, we started taking out, we make a new higher low, and then we take out this high. So basically, in terms of trend, it is glaring that this is your trend. So we made a new high, then we made a what? A higher low. And the trend remains a trend until it bends. So we are trying to make a new high now, right? Which means the potential trade might be another higher low, right? And potentially blow back up. So this trend, as you can see, is still intact. Let's look at it on a 4-hour chart. So the euro is 78.6.
Look at these guys here. These guys, ABA, because they are rooted in Nigeria. Do you understand? They are rooted. This is where their company is. It's not that they came from abroad. They are not foreign.
Right. So let's look at it.
Shares abroad. It doesn't contain here. That's what cash is. Are you getting it? But cash now, they try to go. They are in 3 countries now. Now, because of competition, companies in Nigeria will be frustrating their effort from getting these certifications. They will put in bottleneck.
We have someone like them here.
Who?
Like us, FX.
I didn't Jones now. They just set up their office there.
Actually, this is what we are saying on pound against the dollar. Once this structure is broken,
All these small
right, you don't want to be a seller at this point in time at all, because
function. Do you get it? They wish they are not even functional. You understand?
Paula, please, can you mute everyone?
They can, but they can't get it.
right. This is becoming important now. Once we are attaining highs, this kind of divergence that is coming up. Let me see quickly, 1 second, please. Pound against the dollar. So what we can see is we are approaching an area where the buyers will be coming out, right? And what that means is it doesn't mean that the trend has changed. It does mean that profit-taking area is where we are getting to. And getting to a profit-taking area just means that we have diminished buyers. The buyers are not interested in this anymore. Will the sellers now have more strength to take control is one key thing that is important to us to know. And the one way that we're gonna know that is when we look at the eyes. Looking at this eye on the 4-hour charts, right? What I can see is I can see this potential divergence coming up, right? So this is this eye, and the way that we are approaching this eye, we are approaching it in a way whereby we are having divergence, right? So this divergence that we are having is telling me that I should be careful of high prices, okay? And I should be careful of high prices, and I'm not supposed to be thinking of being a buyer in this location anymore. So what would now be the ideal location to be looking for a short? I think that is one key thing that we should talk about on pound against the dollar. I think we've looked at it earlier and I've signified that area. So we were thinking of this area of I, previous I at the same time as well. Around the 134.87 area, 135.00. We might see the test of 135. So let's see, 134.00 might be a very key area to test. Let me look at this on daily 1 second. Okay, so once it comes to this now, what we can do to get an informed decision is to look at what is actually coming up. We might be able to get a very good entry location for the short. So what tends to happen is when you start to look at fib on the highest level of time frame like this, so okay. All right, so what we are seeing is the 70-70. And that's 135.00. Okay, which means, and these are key concepts now. So when we lie it down, I think the best thing is to wait for this at 0.7070 feet. 1.350 for psychological level. We have previous resistance in the area. And what kind of a pattern is this? That is the key thing. This pattern that we're seeing over here is a bearish pattern formation. Price can literally find itself push up higher and then, of course, sell off from this particular location. So for pound against the dollar, let's consider that Fibonacci level. And the reason why we're going to consider the Fibonacci level is we have managed to close strongly above 61.8. Look at how we suffer to close above this 61.8, right? In fact, just because we close above that 61.8 alone is telling us that, okay, we've managed to reject it so many times, so many days, but fortunately now that we've closed above it, it's a breather. It's a buying opportunity for most people. And the way that most people are going to look into that buy opportunity is for them to, let me take out this Fibonacci. And then I'm going to have this, say for example, and then we're just going to face a pure price action again. Right. We got this huge resistance over here, that sell-off that leads to the COVID sell-off, right? So that one is there. Is there any other thing structurally that I can see? Let's see if it's going to be that structure and that structure, and we've traded above it, which is not bad. The only available structure to us now is to, when you look at the way that we go up this rejection and we trade back above it, this low, if we break this low down, right, that's an end pattern formation that will now lead to maybe a much more potential sell-off. We saw that in this guy, we saw that in pound against the New Zealand. The sell-off begins by almost the same circumstances, that and the break of that area, right? Which means we went to go and test the high, then we come to start to break this area, and then we encounter that sell-off. So maybe if we break this area now, then there might be a reason to sell, but that reason to sell is coming back on top of this channel trend line, which means we may want to see price start closing back inside there for us to be a seller. But for now, right, that hasn't happened. It's just an anticipation. So let's look at the key structure that is in play. And we're going to dig down into this structure from 15 minutes, from 1 hour to 15 minutes to see what can be a possibility. So this is the last 1 hour structure. Right? So as price continue to ascend, we are going to be hitting some highs, and those highs, which is going to be over here, can cause that sell-off back into this level. This is the new price structure. As you can see, this is the way that the price is ascending now. So we've ascended out of the 4-hour structure, out of the daily structure. All this area of mass psychology, where everybody is expecting to have a resistance over there and sell. You can see the sell-off coming. What they do is they push the price back up higher. So the move that we see now, according to this structure, is if we start to break down this little doji, you might see price coming back down into this level before we take off and hit the 70-70. That's a possibility. Let's look at a 15-minute chart. Right, so when you look at this 15 minutes, we reach the high. Does that mean that we are now coming down? But this is the end of the day anyway, so but that may be a possibility, because I usually see that when a rejection want to happen, you find this one last big push up, right? And then price will start to play funny. Okay, so that is making this area become much more important to me. If we break that area, then I don't think, but for you to see much light into it, is you want to look at this 15-minute structure clearly, this green one, right? A lot of people tend to jump in early in some of the opportunities, but yeah, when you follow the 15-minute structure as well, most probably you'll be able to see even this 15-minute structure. If we take it a little bit in that massive shoot high, and then we can't find no more buyers anymore. If we start to break it down, we don't want to break this, but when you look at the amount of things that we can possibly break, if we start to break this 15 minutes down, we have all this level over here, right? And if we break this down, surely we are coming down to this level. So about 81 pips trade for a short if we manage to break down this 15-minute structure. Apart from that, it's a little bit tricky, and I know that we are attaining an area where a sell opportunity can occur. But for now, those are the possible structures. Once these structures comes down, then we can start to find a reason for price to come all the way down. And but with this kind of trade, you're gonna have to be careful. You don't have to take the standard lots, because things are not clear until we get to 135.00. But I'm not saying we can have a short trade over here. Of course we can. You know, price is so high, but if we start to break the structure, that's the only time that the sell trade looks so matured to me. In the meantime, looking for a short opportunity over here, it's more or less like costing things, you know. So when you are looking for a reversal opportunity, when a particular trend is in force, then you want to be seeing the structure breaking before you want to say that, okay, I now have confidence in taking this. So you want to be seeing structures like that level got broken all the way down, you know, before you want to be saying to yourself that, okay, it's looking good. So the last structure that we have over here is this 15-minute structure. And it might be the clue for us to see that sell opportunity, because if you are just rushing things, you don't have to remember that the trend direction is up. So this guy needs to break down, and you will realize that, okay, even if this guy breaks down, you are now left with a choice. The price may get here again and then find a reason to rise back up to find itself back to this area. So overall, my 13500, yeah, you see a key sell level for me, right? Because this price, for the mere fact that the 15-minute structure is broken, which we initiate the sell trade, right? That sell trade might start faltering around this 1 hour structure. So structure by structure, you'll be able to picture which direction things are going. So you won't see a sell-off over here and be thinking, right, so that's a sell opportunity. And then suddenly, just because you don't have this structure on the chart, you wouldn't see that, okay, things can revert itself over here. Because what you'll be looking at is you're going to be saying, oh, we broke this structure, or we broke this low, we broke this low. But inside the main structure, we haven't taken out this main structure until, and that's why we can see how the retracement that comes all the way down there before we take off and continue to push up to this 13500. I hope that is clear on the pound dollar. So sometimes it's just a key patient. Be patient for price to come down there, or be patient for us to see price over here before things can literally happen. Right, so I think, yeah, that's GU. Did somebody mention in particular other chat? All right, so having said that, I want to quickly just glance through some monthly opportunities and see if anything is coming up. This one is gone already. The euro, where it is. I look for opportunity over there. Dollar yen is one pair. All right, so this dollar yen, in anything that I do, I just want to sell the dollar yen. So the yen pairs might be that pair for the new week that can start to see significant sell-off. There is a potential structural, fundamental structural restructuring going on in the yen, so that can lead to continuous sell-off. But where we're sitting on monthly is another tricky area where price can definitely find a reason to reject. But the pressure, that's another key thing, right? So looking at the charts, there are so many things that you have to put into consideration, because each and every chart, each and every price charts present different kind of view, right? Some of them are clear, some of them are not clear. Most of the time you will get the ones that are not clear, so when you get the ones that are not clear, it's just a continuous challenge. We talk about this dollar card at the same time as well, right? So my take on the dollar yen is 105.24 area. I have to see the kind of reaction in that area, considering, look at it, right? These are another things that I use when I start to see weeks or monthly like this, weeks area on monthly, weeks area on monthly, right? So my initial bias is I want to be a seller. Then I start to look at the charts to the left a little bit again. Then my bias starts to change. I start to see a reason to be careful with this, right? Because we can look at this now and be seeing so many reasons not to just jump in. And that is where the challenge is for most traders. You will form one initial bias, then now you have to investigate carefully, So from investigating carefully now, look at that area right there. So are we sitting on a roll reversal area? In that same area, buy, that same area, buy, that same area, buy. And everything to me is pointing that I should at least be a seller with the essence of some caution, right? So I want to know what I want to be. I want to be a seller. Then when I say caution, for me not to be that seller, then it's a reason for me to be careful and not just jumping. So this as signifies the caution. There's a signal of caution over here, all these monthly buys, right? You can see when they buy it from this level, price tend to shoot up higher. Buy again, price tend to shoot up higher. In that level again, shoot up higher, you know? And that's where we are over and over again. So it's a reason for me to be careful and look for potential reversal in this case. So dollar card, the same thing. Dollar card, just this low area alone is telling me I should be careful. And when you look at it previously in this area, that's where the buyers come in, right? So the buyers are likely gonna, I'm looking for a reversal opportunity in the dollar card, and we might be approaching that area where we are going to see that reversal opportunity.
Hello.
Yeah, go on.
Hey, you know that it's okay here. You know that GJ you were just looking at. Sorry, before you
The what?
go, GJ pound yen.
Pound yen, right?
Yeah.
So I haven't looked at it, but let's look at it.
Oh, I thought you were looking at it just now. Is that not what you were looking at just then?
No, that is the dollar yen.
Dollar yen, I mean. That's what I mean. Dollar yen that you were just looking at. Sorry.
Right.
On the monthly, I think you were looking at it on the monthly.
Exactly.
Can you go? If you can go back, I just have a so right. So you can see the current profile, because one thing I've noticed, because you were saying maybe we can have at first we can have a sell bias, but then just investigate that more to be sure that there's actually going to be a role reversal. What I've noticed is that the current profile now, where it's sitting, if it breaks that value area low, it's likely that, well, not likely, well, it's very possible that it will then sell all the way down to the previous profile's value area low. And I've back tested this before. It's not like 100% foolproof, but it does happen, because if you look at the previous profile's value area high, that is at 115.7. Yeah, exactly. It will travel from there, and it will travel all the way down to its value area low, where I think that if we have a sell bias now, and that sell bias actually happens, if it actually happens and we break the current profile's value area low, it may well sell down to, to there. It's just something to watch out for. Maybe not all the way there, because there's a selling tail there, but just something to watch out for. And then look on the lower time frame for, for the take profit and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, that's
a buying tail.
That's a key point that you raised over there. Well, let's look at the weekly. This weekly find a big rejection at the top. We didn't take out the low. There's a reason why we didn't take out the low. Let's look at the daily. What we're looking for is just clues, right? And I feel like the problem is with this one now, this daily is showing us rejection, and this rejection can come all the way down to this level. This is the issue. This level, you can see even there's huge institutional buying over here.
Yes, there's a buying tail there. So
so until we find a close below here, it can be very tricky and trying to force because obviously we will see have a day where price we say potentially want to come down to this level. But what would then happen when it comes down there? Look at all these 3 days, right? So we close here almost the same way. In this area, we have 3 days of 1, 2, 3 days into that area. The 4th day gives us that faker.
That rejection,
That rejection, and it's huge, massive. So it's more or less like there's some fixing going on around this area. And that's one thing that I want us to be careful of, not to fall into the hands of those fixing.
Bias.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, yeah, it has looked like as if things are going down, which is good. And price will come all the way down to this level now. There is a support there. It needs to be broken.
Yes.
So dollar yen for me is a bit tricky. Let me see.
Okay.
Oh, somebody mentioned OZK. Right. So with OZK,
Okay.
96.70. And now 96.70 for me to be a buyer now, I want to see 30 minutes break above it with test of it and then continuation. So 96.70 will be one key level that I'll be watching out for. If we cannot close above 96.70 and we test it, then I'll be a seller. That's one key level. 96.70 is key on the Aussie card. So what you actually wanted to see is you don't want to do anything, you just want price to get to this level, break it, find every reason to possibly retest it, and in that case, you'll be much more confident to take the buy on Aussie card. So that is approaching 96.70. Watch out for it. But in the meantime, it doesn't make any sense to do anything. Price may get here and then start to sell off that 96.70. But for you to be a buyer of the Aussie card now, where it is, you want to see that break of 96.70 and then the test of it, and price will be going up higher. I want to show you, there was a particular currency that I saw like that. I think Euro Aussie is one of them as well. So on Euro Aussie, we come to that 65.50 level, right? Price comes to the 65.50 level on monthly. That is the level that I was watching out for. And I was anticipating a break of it, right? But I was impatient with this trade, despite the fact that what I need to see is a break of it. So let me now go to the 30-minute chart of that. So this is the level, the 65.50, you know, and the plan is to see a break of this 65.50 first of all, before taking the test of it, before taking the trade. If I do not see a break of it, I don't want to be a buyer. Sorry, let me take you back there. So this is what I'm trying to say as regards to all those point of control and why it's so important. So price gets there, look at how it's turning it into resistance. So even if I now said to myself, let me buy cheap, which is what I was trying to do, I don't want to be a buyer until price breaks it. So I was trying to buy cheaper. Price didn't come back to 65.50. And the next thing price does is use that same point of control as a reason to create this huge, gigantic sell. And I know this level, you know, and that is about 392 pips. So those are the powers of those levels. You want to actually see that they got broken, we tested, and then obviously carry on. But if they are not broken, yeah, then they will become a resistance, and then they can create a huge sell opportunity. So each and every day we master this business and we master it more. I come up with a list of things that I look at. You know, they might be huge, but I like to look at them. I like to look at the monthly point of control. I like to see patterns before the monthly point of control. In this case, I saw the pattern at the same time as well, but there's a need for constant reminder of what we want to look for. I want to check the latest fundamentals between the two currencies that I'm trading. right? I don't want to be too forward. I want to see the orders align using trend followers. Maybe if I look at this on trend follower now, 65.50 level. All right, 65.50. As we can see before, the trend is down, down, down. Over here, looks like it's going to change, but unfortunately, it didn't change. A lot of resistance around that 65.50. Under 65.50, and that's what created this significant sell-off. Anyway, yeah, so I look at a couple of things like that. I look for things like picture power. I look for monthly supply and demand level. I check previous daily, weekly, monthly, high level. Because if you're trading people's money, you have to be careful. You don't want to be making unnecessary mistake. Check for structure on 4-hour and structure break to confirm entry. We talked about that a lot. We talked about impulsive corrective formation. And then obviously we check for daily close. If we have a 4-hour trend line break, we should now focus on how we are breaking the support or holding the support and vice versa with resistance. The initial break of support, if price managed to come above it, all right, so something like this. There's a support over here. If we break it and price come back up, I'll be looking for 78.6 retracement. So maybe that, let's see that Euro USD. Euro USD. All right, so on Euro USD, probably I'm talking about a potential support over here. Right? You can see that we break this support. If price comes back above this support, I want to look for 78.6. Retracement level. So also different kind of pattern we emerge with price, but you need to understand timing then in. So as you can see, there's a support over here. Maybe I'm just, sometimes you just scan your chart for patterns. So straightforward, I can note that this support, price has broken this support, 78.6 level can be a next area for me to look for that short opportunity. Might not be that much, but it might be a scalp opportunity. Depends on how big the time frame is. That's 78.6. That's about 24 pips. And price is still trying to respect it, but I'm still anticipating we can have that further break. So it can happen everywhere. So let's just continue to try, and then things will be unfolding itself. You'll be able to have some principles that will be some guidelines that you want to follow. You have to start writing things down. You have to start noting your losses. You have to start looking at those trades where you encounter loss and see how best you can improvise on it. It might be just a simple thing, just a simple mistake, right? It might be, then you can easily know that, oh, it's because I'm very, very impulsive. It's because I should at least take a little bit of care to slow down and look at things properly. Then that's how you build the skill, you know. But if you do not look at your losses and look at why things are wrong, you won't be able to build the skill. So now you'll be able to build the skill if you can look at things like that and say, oh, okay, this is what I do wrong. I should just learn to be patient next time. Maybe I want to see that break and retest of the area. And if I don't see the break and retest of the area, I can just use the same area as a reversal. So yeah, so things like that will help us to improve our trade. I hope you enjoyed today's class. I'm going to be calling it a day from now, and then we leave the rest to the chat group. If you want to, if you're just joining us newly, you can be okay. You can find our regular post in this group as well. I hope you enjoy the class, and then I'll try and put today's what's it called on YouTube channel as well and forward it to the group. Okay. Right. So problems anytime. That will be the link of the Telegram group. Thank you so much for being part of this class today. I'm sorry I'm a bit late, but overall it was fun. We were able to spend a bit of time, and then I hope you have a good weekend. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to get in touch, and then we take it from there. Thanks. No worries, Titi Live.